Welcome to the McEnulty Method. We're here with financial experts Frank McEnulty and Colin Sorrells, and they are going to answer all of your questions about finance and money so that we all might live smarter financial lives. Frank, Colin, good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Bill. Well, good to see Colin's C down there.
That's right.
Okay.
We received some questions, and one was, I thought I'd throw out to you guys. It was, what should you look for in a wealth manager?
Okay, because that is a tough question. There's all sorts of people out there that claim they're wealth managers. And we'll start, and part of it is, as a young person starting out, it's hard to get the good ones, the good wealth managers, because they all used to be $250,000 minimum. Then they started moving to a $500,000 minimum. And a lot of them are now up to $1 million minimum before they'll talk to you. And I'm talking, the big wealth management companies versus, the other opportunity for people is people like Schwab, Ameritrade, Raymond James. Raymond James may have the best opportunity to actually hire somebody where you'll get a person to talk to.
Okay.
And that may be unfair to Schwab and Ameritrade because I haven't used them for that purpose. But, as a small investor, as a person starting out, the key is who's going to give you the best service for in the beginning, your tiny little account, right? Everybody starts at zero. And of course, everybody wants the person with $1 million because they can make more money off. And I think where I want to go with this is the difference between companies that are really insurance companies and companies that are more brokerage investment companies. Because all of the insurance companies pretty much claim they're investment companies. That them selling you life insurance is an investment. Technically it is, but the costs associated with it are quite high. And depending on your life situation, you may not need that much insurance. And it's costing you. So rather than that, it's how do I find somebody that will, in essence, take me under their wing when I'm starting out? And that's the one thing it's really hard to do is find somebody that'll do that. Because you don't want to just go with somebody and say, oh, well, you need to buy this whole life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. They got all these great charts and things and that they're going to show you when you're 100 years old, this is how much it's worth, and your relatives are going to get, and how you could take the cash flow out. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, as you can tell. Colin, what do you think?
I as a 22-year-old, haven't found much need to deal with life insurance companies, Frank. So I think you'll be more of the expert on this than myself.
And I know somebody's going to watch this and they're going to get mad, and I welcome them to come on and talk to us. But the thing is, when people are selling life insurance, there's a big commission there. There's a big cost associated with buying life insurance. And so if there's a big cost, it means it's money you're not keeping. So if you go to let's say Raymond James, I used their name before and I know somebody works there. I think if you open an account, I don't know what their minimums are, but they're going to charge you 1.5% a year to help you manage your money. It's not a huge amount. You might say, well, gee, I get $10,000 there. I have to pay them $150. It's $150 to get their expertise, their firm's expertise to help you, because the goal here is to grow to be that $500,000 client that $1 million client that now you can go to the firms that when you're in your 20s, they wouldn't look at you. They don't care. You're not big enough for them to make it worth their while. So I think, I guess what I'm trying to say, be careful who you believe, where you go, because it's all about the long term and keeping your money long term and growing it. And I read something the other day that was talking about you need some flexibility. I think actually we talked about this 2 weeks ago, where you maybe shouldn't put all your money into your 401k. You shouldn't put all your money into your IRA because you may need some of it. You may want to buy a house. So, and sometimes, like the person we were talking about in the previous episode that made $350,000 a year didn't really know, what to do. Having somebody that charged a few $100 a year to give her advice, not a bad idea to get started on the right path.
And Frank, one thing I think that is interesting is you bring up the flexibility of aspect. And one thing I do know about life insurance is, a lot of times, the investment side of it is, well, it's, let's say, a $500,000 policy. Well, you can borrow against that $500,000 and, well, you don't pay any interest on it because when you die, we'll subtract everything you took out from the payout. That's one way of doing it. But a lot of times, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, in order to borrow against the life insurance policy, you have to pay up to X amount before they'll let you start to borrow against it. And, as a young individual, if you don't have all that cash up front, it's through the monthly payments, it's one of those situations, you may not get a lot of that flexibility, which you otherwise might have if you went to a Raymond James and set up a brokerage account.
Oh, no, they're not lending you their money on a life insurance policy. They're lending you your money. So you have to have the cash balance built up in the policy in order to borrow against the policy.
All right. So even more so, less flexibility. Because, if you're young, how quickly can you build up a real cash balance?
It's, I have a couple policies that were taken out on some younger people, 15, 16 years ago. The premiums paid were about $500 a year. And after 15 years, they have about a $10,000 cash value.
Wow.
So they're actually doing really well. But like you said, I suppose if they had paid $5,000 a year for those policies, now they'd have $100,000 in cash value. But still not a huge amount.
Well, not a huge amount, but the day you die, boy, you clean up.
Well, I used to teach an insurance class, and it's the one product you'll buy your entire life and hope you never use.
Mhm.
Even life insurance, you buy it to protect your family.
Right.
You don't really buy it for yourself because it's hard to spend it when you can cash in that policy. But no, I think, I think that's, the key when looking for an investment advisor is look at what they do. If their first instinct is to sell you insurance, run. Just run. Say, thank you very much, but I want to invest. I don't want to buy insurance. And they will spend the next 20 minutes explaining to you how this insurance policy is an investment. I don't believe it is. They can be, but for a young person who doesn't necessarily need life insurance, it's probably not the best place to start.
This was very interesting, though. And thank you, Frank. Thank you, Colin. And for you watching, if you have any questions you'd like Frank and Colin to answer, please just put them in the comments. And that wraps up this edition of the McEnulty Method. We'll see you guys next time.